delighted to be here today. Thank you for Integrity for asking me to come over. What a glorious day. Don't often say that when we're over here. I'm from Yorkshire, though, so I'm used to it. So today we're talking about AI. It's 2024. It wouldn't be a security conference if there wasn't at least one talk on that. And I know I'm conscious I'm the slot before the break, so we'll have a little bit of audience participation. Quick show of hands, who hasn't used ChatGPT or Bing Chat or Bard or Claude or anything? So absolutely, there's no Luddites in the room. Everyone has tried this stuff. We've had now ChatGPT, the thing that most people are familiar with, since, November? So 18 months. And we've had this kind of Cambrian explosion of AI since then, all primarily generative AI. But some of this stuff isn't new. We've had transformers since 2017. Yeah, attention is all you need. So what's kind of led to this? It's really a combination of the availability of the data, the availability of the hardware, NVIDIA's A100 being a key contributor there. I guess the pandemic had some impact on that due to supply chain and the delays. We might have had this stuff earlier if it wasn't for that. But nowadays, this stuff is everywhere. We have it. And today we just wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the impact from a perspective of cybersecurity. So World Economic Forum did a survey, part of the Davos convention beginning of this year. And that was really around asking, who do we think, where's the balance going to be? Is it going to be in the favor of the defenders or the attackers? And, slightly over half, 56% said the attackers. Only 9% of respondees said AI is going to be in the benefit of the defender. If you look at the primary concerns, yes, we talk about ethics and the importance of that. This was a cyber-focused question. So the key concern by a country mile was advanced adversarial capabilities, phishing, malware development, deepfakes, etc. That is what executives are concerned about. Executives within cybersecurity, so cyber leaders, essentially. And when we look at the intersection of these two worlds, of cyber and AI, there's really four things that come to mind. Yeah, there's the perspective of the attacker and the defender. In both cases, it's a force multiplier. Yeah, it allows you to do more things quickly. You can automate the boring stuff. Yeah, that's what we all use this for today in our lives. We automate all those tedious parts of our jobs by leveraging this kind of technology. But then there's the other concerns as well. How do we securely use this stuff? Yes, we talked about, there was a slide with the meme with the business and looking at AI and cyber. We want to run quick, but we also want to put the guardrails in. Yeah, when we take the kids bowling, we put the little bumpers up at the side of the lane so they don't have a bad time. That's our job in cyber. So we want to allow the business to use this stuff, get the best advantage, get that competitive advantage from it, but without exposing ourselves, to kind of reference Brian's topics. And then how can we, as security people, how can we leverage that? We've got co-pilots in the SOC now and that kind of thing. So AI, cyber, big intersection, lots of things to talk about. But we'll start with those concerns raised from the survey in Davos. Deepfakes. So, this stuff, this isn't new, right? GANs, generative adversarial networks. The PC that your kids use to play Fortnite can now be used to create very convincing deepfakes. Up until now, there was quite a lot of manual work needed to get these to look really good. You're essentially swapping faces. So if you did want to actually create these kind of fakes, you needed an actor who kind of looked like the subject, had similar hair, because AI's not very good at hair and hands for some reason still. So there was a lot of manual work needed. Now, a couple of days ago, Microsoft dropped this thing, which is terrifying if you ask me. It's called VASA 1, and you can create really convincing video from one image and an audio file. So Microsoft have said, we're not releasing this to the public right now. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention, this is real time as well. So really, really quite amazing technology. And you could see how this kind of thing could be used. Both, for really good customer interactions. We see these, virtual agents, virtual training, virtual interviews happening. But imagine what the bad guys can do with this kind of stuff as well. Elections. This year is unprecedented. Half of the planet, pretty much, is going to the polls. What's the impact of AI there? A terrifying percentage of the population primarily get their news from social media. And we all know the challenges there around accuracy of information. So, we're all going out to vote, but are we basing our choices? Are we ticking boxes based on actual facts, or is there something else behind the scenes influencing our decisions, again, across the world? That's all good and well. It's all, big stuff, Ian, very exciting, but we're here at a, business-focused event. Is this a business risk? Well, yes, absolutely. Going back to the deepfakes.
I'm not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real.
This isn't Morgan Freeman.
Well,
this is a very convincing deepfake. Again, created with consumer-based hardware.
What if I were to tell you that
Is it science fiction? Sadly, actually not. This is already being used. Just, I think, 2 days ago, LastPass came out and said that they'd been the victim of deepfake-based voice attempts. Here we've got, again, millions of dollars changing hands already based on these kinds of attacks. And there isn't a lot of technological defense you can put in place to do here. This is, user education stuff. But this is where the bad guys have an advantage, and what can we do to protect that? We can educate. Sorry, there's still more examples going. There's loads of them. Phishing was one of the other primary concerns. I never thought I'd say this, but do you remember the good old days when all we worried about was spam? This was my all-time favorite example of the classic 419 scam, the secret Nigerian astronaut who's been stranded in space for 10 years and has accrued so much overtime that he's now got $14 million that he'd like to share with you. You just need to help to pay. I think it was since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, we now need to pay to send a rocket to bring him back, and he'll share this $14 million with him if you just let him use your bank account to move some money through. I honestly don't know if anyone actually thought that was real and participated, but anyway. Now, we don't need fancy, scary AI models. You can just go to ChatGPT, and as long as you craft your question carefully, this isn't even prompt engineering. This is just, saying, write me an email that sounds like it's coming from the CEO. Yeah, I'm not saying write me a phishing email. If I do that, it will say, no, I can't do that. But just ask it a question. There you go. Bang, fairly convincing phishing email. You want to refine it? Please, let's have some sense of urgency. Let's get users to click on this. Again, it will gladly oblige. So this really lowers the bar, the point of entry for the attackers. They can create really convincing phishing emails in seconds, costs them nothing, and they can put this out to our users. Email security, just sticking with that for a topic for a second. Some numbers. We would normally do a little poll and try and guess what these are, but just conscious of time. 75% of targeted cyber attacks begin with an email. 1 in 72 emails globally is phishing. 30% of those are actually opened by the users. And according to IBM's latest report, a business email compromise breach, the average cost is estimated at just under $5 million. So, this is still a real problem. And again, we talk about AI as a force multiplier. This technology is available to everyone, and they can create some very convincing fakes, essentially, to entice users to take action. Hacktivism, another thing here. So this is possibly when we get a little bit into the realms of science fiction. I normally don't like to bring things without hard evidence, but we're increasingly seeing, especially in the realms of DDoS, talk about AI and the impact there. Recently, we've seen some very large-scale DDoS attacks globally. And the belief in the industry, although there's no hard evidence, is that some of the AI technology is being applied here. Instead of having to kind of code and adapt for every eventuality and say, okay, if this happens, do this, if this happens, do that, by using agent-based technologies, you can just give it general guidelines. Yeah? And this thing never sleeps, never eats, it just carries on working. So if parts of an attack aren't working, we need to change from volumetric to connection-based attacks or whatever it may be, it can adapt autonomously. So again, I can't kind of show you examples of this kind of stuff, but certainly it's being talked about. And again, there recently, we've seen the largest attack ever and a multiple, 7 times the previous attack. Ransomware, again, it's still happening, unfortunately. It's not a problem that's gone away. And the NCSC and other organizations are now warning us about the impact of ransomware, impact of AI within ransomware. Few approaches there. One, if you go again to one of these large language models and say, write me some ransomware, most of them will say, no, that's unethical, I'm not going to do that. If you say, please could you write a script that identifies every file on my PC and encrypts it for me, again, they'll gladly oblige. So guardrails in the systems there, it's hard to get this stuff right. So now, this is accessible to everyone. All of us could go and, nip upstairs, get our laptops out, make some ransomware in a few minutes' time. Again, where do we go from there? Autonomy, agent-based approaches, things actually taking decisions and self-defending, again, starting to get towards science fiction, but who thought, go back to that Microsoft model, who thought we'd see that kind of thing by now? When it comes to actually developing software, again, what are the problems there? There's so many that OWASP have actually put together a top 10. Yeah, so just like we're used to the OWASP top 10 for web and API security, we now have the same thing for LLMs. And this is a fantastic, if you're thinking about your own AI governance and your own policies, this is probably the best place to start because it covers all aspects from the more technical aspects, the use of the data. But my favorite one, I think it's number 9, is over-reliance. Do we start to depend on this stuff too much? So again, OWASP top 10 for LLM, definitely spend some time working through that. So we've talked about all the bad stuff, right? AI, it's terrible, it's scary. I didn't have the Terminator slide. I think Richard happily had that in there with the T800. But what can we do about it? How can we, as defenders, operate within this environment? And just like with the creation of the language models and things themselves, it's all about data. Yeah, you can't train any sort of AI platform without having enormous amounts of data. And as security vendors, that's where we come in. We have hundreds of thousands of sensors out there in the world, millions of data points. Every day, we're taking billions of decisions on this data. And we're also using that to train artificial intelligence and leveraging that across the security platform, whether it's the endpoints, mobile, the cloud environment, your traditional data center, and your enterprise networks. All of that technology is deployed. Start to look at how we've, over the years as an industry, adapted. Things like malware classification. Traditionally, this was done using machine learning. If you're not familiar with the difference between machine learning and deep learning, machine learning essentially relied on this thing called feature extraction. Yeah, we had to tell the model, okay, we're going to look at certain things. What's the file extension? What's the first byte of the file? Things like this. We had to extract those features and then present the data to the model in that format. Deep learning, you just kind of throw it all in a bucket and it sorts itself out and it finds its own features. So again, neural networks, hundreds and thousands of hidden layers within the network. It's making its own decisions. It's identifying its own features. You don't have to anticipate. What did this mean for us at Checkpoint? First off, it meant we reduced our false positive rate, so 90% reduction in false positives and 30% more efficacy in detection rates. Taking that a step further, actually understanding, no one writes an entire program or script completely from scratch. If you were doing any sort of scripting or development, I'm sure you've got a little folder where you've got your snippets and you reuse bits, or you use existing libraries. Bad guys do the same thing, yeah? They're leveraging other people's work, they're leveraging their own work, they're reusing parts, and this is essentially becoming like the DNA of that piece of malware. So again, by leveraging these kinds of technologies, even if something has never been seen before, we can identify, okay, but it carries this gene, essentially, this little bit of software that we have seen, and we know that that's bad. So maybe let's look deeper and let's understand what is this. So again, by extracting that kind of information from previously unknown binaries, we can start to identify their behavior. Obviously, this kind of stuff I didn't mention on the last slide is so much quicker than sandboxing. That's the kind of foundation. How do we bring this stuff to action? How do we actually productize this kind of technology? Speaking on behalf of Checkpoint, we have about 70 different models that we deploy across our platform. I won't read them all out here, but everything from language classification, malware detection, whatever it may be, there's probably some sort of AI-powered model behind it. None of this stuff's new. Right? We've had this for a long time. It's just now everyone wants to talk about AI, so I thought you might be interested to hear about it. And let's go through some real examples of where this stuff has been deployed. Zero-day malware. So in 2022, there was a rat, Ave Maria, I think, is that say? Yeah, Ave Maria, that we detected with a customer in Italy. Never been seen before, we detected this. The way our platform works is once we have detected something, we've seen it's been classified as malicious, that's updated to our big data cloud platform. And within a couple of seconds, that intelligence is now available to all of our customers globally. So over the next 3 hours, as this rat being remote access Trojan, as that started to be seen for other customers, we were instantly able to block it. So again, the power of the platform comes into play here. Let's go back even further, right? You might not believe it, but Log4j was even earlier than 2022. Some of us are probably still feeling a little sore after it. For customers using Checkpoint's web and API security, it was a complete non-issue. We didn't know it was Log4j. We didn't say, oh, we've blocked or Log4 shell, if we want to be technical about it. We didn't put that in the log because no one knew it was called that on day 0. But by extracting the features automatically, we were kind of able to identify, oh, this looks weird, this shouldn't be happening. And again, straight away, day 0, blocking that attack. When it comes to phishing, as well as blocking it from an email point of view, we also do it on the gateway. So if users are receiving phishing messages via non-email communication, yeah, and I'm not going, I hate the word smishing, but apparently it's a thing now. We can do it at the network level. So as users try and click a link, we're analyzing that page. Yeah, so we're not just blocking it on an email point of view, the network traffic, if somehow the email got through, as in you're not defending against email-borne phishing, we can actually take 300 different parameters from the website and understand, is this really what it claims to be? And again, by using a browser extension, we can even prevent the user from entering any information in there, or at the network level, if you choose to. When it comes to DNS, DNS is very commonly used for data exfiltration because everyone just allows it outside of their organization. And it's also heavily used to obfuscate command and control communication through the use of domain generation algorithms. Again, by applying this kind of artificial intelligence and deep learning technology in those areas, we can protect you against that. When it comes to actually creating your own software, again, as I said before, we all do it, the bad guys and the good guys. When we're writing software, we're leveraging existing packages. And people know about this. A couple of days ago, you might have heard in the news about the XZ utils, a very, very long game with a malicious actor, actively, happily committing code into the repository, participating just like a normal user would, and then one evening suddenly started inserting some malicious code in there. Found by accident, could have been an absolute disaster. Thankfully, it was found, and it was only in kind of release candidate and preview builds of Linux operating systems. Again, we use this kind of technology to help there. So at the earliest stages of software development, when developers are actually looking to go and leverage existing libraries and tools, we can say, hang on a minute, there's something not right here. Yeah, so either that package is just outright malicious or something malicious has been inserted into it. As we're here for the day, we've also got a special invitation. Don't take my word for it. If you want to try some of this stuff, we'll happily onboard you onto our platform. There's an offer here for 14 days trial of our email security. Typically, that's the best way to sample this kind of technology. But we'll happily extend it to anything else if you want to talk about other areas of the cybersecurity platform. My colleagues from Checkpoint Ireland team are here today, and they've asked me to let you know that we have got a prize draw of our own going on. So if you come and talk to us at the stand, I think there's a VR headset up for grabs. I'm not entirely sure. Is Seamus here? There he is. Is there any criteria? You've got to be here till the end. You've got to sign up for a trial or just come and talk to you? Sign up for a trial. So sign up for a trial, and there's a VR headset up for grabs. I'm here. I'm not going to be here for the full day, but I am here to have a chat with you over the breaks. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to come and talk to you. And with that, slightly ahead of time, remarkably, thank you very much.